Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the MinimOSD. This unit is designed to provide on-screen display for your FPV. It's a fairly small board, very compact. There's a few flaws with it which I'll get to later. Right now we're going to go over the basics of it. To go over the basics of the board, you have the Atmel CPU right there. It does all the heavy lifting when it comes to the programming. We have the on-screen display chip. This actually overlays the incoming data from your flight controller onto your video link. We have your power section of the board. This converts the 12 volts down to the 5 volts that this chip needs. We have a reset button, a couple of LEDs to indicate activity. On the right hand side we have your serial incoming, so this side will be connected to your flight controller, this side connected to your FPV system. So one comes in from the camera, it does all the processing, and then goes out to the FPV transmitter that then sends the video link to your goggles. We have a reset switch which will reset the board in case something has gone wrong. Very useful, as most of the time you might have an issue with it. I'll take a look at the other side. So on the other side there's nothing here, but you can see the traces and what have you. We have your video in, video out, 12 volts and ground. On this side we have the ground, TX, RX, 5 volts, another ground pin, and the BLK, which I would suspect is blink. As you can see on my board, I've actually soldered the jumper. So you have one jumper on the top side, which I believe is the actual 5 volts. So it takes 5 volts from your serial or your telemetry and powers the on-screen display chip. So there's a jumper on the top right there, that is 5 volts. And then if you look at the other side, we have a ground jumper that connects these two ground planes together. So the ground from your flight controller is essentially the ground on this side. We have your SPI connectors here, a PAL jumper, video in, video out, ground, the 12 volts, which I generally would say skip and just power it from the 5 volts. We have our ground, TX, RX, 5 volts, another ground, and your blink. It's a fairly basic board, not too much going on, but it definitely gets what you want done. Here I have a second board. It's very similar to the first one, just a slightly different layout. I believe this board doesn't actually have the 5 volt jumper, so it has to be powered from the 12 volts, which is kind of a downside. But at the end of the day, it still works, and it does what you want. So that's generally the overview of the board. Like I said, there's not much to it. It's just a basic analog to digital converter with a on-screen display chip. Essentially this board is just an Arduino, maybe an Arduino Nano or Arduino Mini Pro, but if you so desire, you can actually program your Arduino programs. Use the blink program and make one of the LEDs blink. It's fairly basic. The code for this is actually open source, so available to anybody to modify, and I'll post a link to that in the description. So in the next video we're going to show you how to hook it up and get everything ready, and please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Goodbye.